Hello, so we're going to be talking about The Outsiders and the Gangs of New York as our objectives for today's lecture is going to be the review summary of The Outsider, the review summary of the Gangs of New York, analyze similarities between protagonists, teach tolerance and conflict prevention, relate personal identity and geographic roots to the prevalence of gang and violence through time. Okay, so The Outsiders. The Outsiders is an iconic novel by C. Hilton. Is any of my students here remember where was this novel? Where was this protagonist characters, the gangs? Where was this town from? I hear some Alabama. I hear Texas. Okay. That's right, Oklahoma. Tulsa, Oklahoma. So the novel focuses on the struggles of a teenage boy named Ponyboy. Ponyboy Curtis. So that's our protagonist, who is caught between two different worlds. The Greasers, a gang of lower class boys, where he is mainly from, which I believe is the east side, and the Sox, I want to say that's how you pronounce it, a gang of affluent teenagers. Through Ponyboy's journey, the novel explores themes of families, friendship, loyalty, identity, and the power of standing for oneself. So The Outsiders is a timeless story of teenage angst, loyalty, and family. Ponyboy is a member of the Greasers. You know, I don't know if you guys can recall like what the Greasers are or how they look. I know that they have like this hairstyle. They were like, have you guys seen like the Levi's jackets or something blue, super tight? I mean, this novel was directly by like, we're talking about the mid 1960s. So Ponyboy is a member of the Greasers and a gang of lower class boys from the wrong side of town, but he's constantly challenged by the difference between his two worlds. The Greasers struggle to find their place in a society where they are viewed with suspicion and prejudice, while the Sox are privileged, seen as the better or the two gangs of the two gangs. I'm sorry. Ponyboy's relationship with his friends, family, and the other gang members are tested as he navigates these two worlds. The novel examines the struggle of being an outsider in a society that favors the privileged and how the power of a friendship and loyalty can help you find strength in the face of adversity. Ponyboy's character arc is one of growth and self-discovery. As he learns to stand for himself and those he loves, he despises the odds. He finds strength in his relationships with his friendships and family, and ultimately learn to fight for what is right. The novel ultimately shows that anyone can be an outsider, and that it's possible to find strength in the face of adversity. As then for our next, which is not a novel, but it's a film from the 2002. It's Gangs of New York, which is a period drama directed by Martin Scorsese, set in the notorious Five Points area of New York City in the mid-19th century. Okay, so I'm guessing it's the same year as of what The Outsiders were. And the film follows the story of Amsterdam Valen, a young man who returns to the area after long absence to avenge his father's death at the hands of the city's gangs. Through Amsterdam's quest for revenge, the film examines themes of revenge, justice, poverty, just like The Outsiders, guys, and a class struggle. Gangs of New York is a powerful period drama that examines the harsh realities of violence and class struggle in 19th century New York City. Amsterdam Valen is a young man determined to avenge his father's death and reclaim his honor. The film brings to life the grim and often violent struggles between the city gangs, as well as the complex class structure of the time. Through Amsterdam's journey, the film explores the power of personal identity and the importance of understanding and acceptance. Okay, so we're kind of figuring out that both of the protagonists, as Amsterdam and Ponyboy, they are in the journey of self-discovery and understanding and accepting. So the film explores the power of personal identity and the importance of understanding and acceptance. Amsterdam character's arc is the story of redemption and growth as he learns to see beyond revenge and find justice. He's forced to confront his past and make difficult choices, ultimately deciding between revenge and mercy. The film also highlights the power of family and friendship. Okay, that's another similarity that we also find in The Outsiders. Family and friendship and loyalty. Amsterdam is supported by his allies and finds strength in his connection with others. In the end, Amsterdam is able to transcend his past and find peace in the face of violence. Okay, so as we all heard about this quick summary, do you guys have any questions in regard of the novel or film? I know that. Is there any other protagonists or any other characters that you can acknowledge from The Outsiders? Okay, we have Johnny. That's a part of the conflict. Johnny. Okay, we have the Thugs. Yeah. Okay, so the protagonists, as we're going forward to review to analyze similarities between protagonists. So the protagonists in both The Outsiders and Gangs of New York share a number of similarities. Both Ponyboy Curtis and Amsterdam Valen are teenage boys who are caught between two worlds. The Greasers and Sox in The Outsiders and the Gangs of 5 Points in Gangs of New York. Both characters are driven by the quest for justice and a desire to avenge the death of their fathers. Additionally, both characters are faced with difficult choices as they come of age, with Ponyboy forced to choose between loyalty to his gang or protecting his friend. In this case, it's Johnny. And Amsterdam having to decide between revenge and mercy. The similarities between the two protagonists are striking. Both Ponyboy and Amsterdam are young men who have experienced great loss and are struggling to find their place in the world. They are both driven by a quest for justice and desire to avenge their father's death. Additionally, both characters are forced to make difficult choices in order to find peace. Ponyboy must choose between loyalty to his gang and protecting his friends, while Amsterdam, of course, as I mentioned, is revenge and mercy. So these choices represent a difficult balance between justice and vengeance, and the power of understanding and acceptance, guys. So The Outsiders, for our next one, is teach tolerance and conflict prevention for both the film and the novel. So The Outsiders and Gangs of New York can be used to teach tolerance and conflict prevention by emphasizing the value of understanding and acceptance. Remember these two words, guys: understanding and acceptance. How can we prevent a conflict to arising? Is by understanding and acceptance. Okay. So both stories explore the consequences of prejudice and intolerance and can be used to discuss the importance of recognizing and respecting differences. So I feel like in the case of The Outsiders, guys, what should the Greasers and the Sogs, which are the people that in this case are the ones privileged, and the Outsiders that are from the East Side are a low-class minority people, that how can we make these two groups find harmony between their conflicts, and especially because they're teenagers. I know when we're teenagers, we have our hormones everywhere. We start talking without even thinking about what words come out of our mouths. So what is it again? Acceptance and understanding. So I feel like these two rivals should find more of a respecting towards one another and find that harmony between those two, regardless of their class. Both of us have the same right and are the same people at the end of the day. So respect. So additionally, the protagonists in both stories provide examples of finding peaceful solutions to conflicts, such as Ponyboy's decision to protect his friend instead of joining in a fight. Remember that Rumble fight and that the Greasers won? I don't think that was good. No, that was not good. Remember, acceptance and understanding. Understanding and acceptance. Those two words are going to be those key words for us to reduce some elevation or anger towards another person, you know? So such as Ponyboy's decision to protect his friend instead of fighting in a fight in Amsterdam, ultimate decision to show mercy instead rather than have revenge. So the outsiders and the gangs of New York can be used to discuss the importance of tolerance and conflict prevention. Both stories demonstrate the consequences of prejudice and intolerance, and how this prejudice can lead to violence and destruction. The protagonists in both stories also provides examples of finding peaceful solutions to conflicts, such as Ponyboy's decisions to protect his friend in Amsterdam, like I said, ultimately decision to show mercy. So by discussing these stories, readers can gain an appreciation for the power of understanding and acceptance and learn the importance of conflict prevention. So the outsiders, so now that we talk about the similarities of the protagonists and how we find a solution to our conflicts to not elevate any situation, we're going to move forward to the one which is, I believe, The Outsiders and Gang of New York can be used to explore the role of personal identity and geographic roots in the prevalence of gangs and violence through history. So both stories emphasize the power of belonging to a particular group and the influence of the one's geographic location on their identity. Additionally, both stories show the consequences of prejudice and intolerance and can be used to discuss how these factors have led to increased violence and tension in many communities through history. Okay, so we have plenty of examples of histories, moments where, the Civil War or any other, because I know that the important historical details are included in the movie, as the gangs of New York they mentioned in the movie are important to help the watchers understand and notice the time period and how the world was ran back then. It helps make the movie interesting by tying the gang-related issues to modern day issues that we deal with today with all the gang violence. We heard about gang violence in the United States. We have still, up to this day, we suffer from other countries trying to attack the United States. The same people as USA citizens have formed gang violence, but it's the same case as we as minority people choose this path because they don't feel that they're being understood or accepted. Okay, so with the gang violence, it helps the watchers have a better understanding of the pain through process of the characters. This event also helped the viewer more understand the stress of the people during that time deal with the stress of knowing that if they were drafted, they will never come back unless they were dead. And this is the film of the gangs of New York. So, what historical events are mentioned and portrayed in the movie? Can someone tell me? Okay. The end of slavery. I hear one student. Good job. The Civil War. That's right. Okay, and the Irish coming, the Irish immigrants coming to America, then fighting in the Civil War. Another one, the gold rush. That's right. The draft and the rebellion against the draft. Okay. So, I'm sorry. So, by understanding these stories, readers can gain an appreciation for the complexities of gang violence and learn lessons in tolerance and conflict prevention. These stories can be used to discuss the importance of respecting differences and understanding the root causes of violence, as well as the importance of recognizing the power of belonging and the influence of geographic location on identity. By understanding these stories, readers can gain the appreciations for the complexity of gang violence and learn lessons in tolerance and conflict prevention. So, to finish this lecture, guys, what was the two keywords that I have been mentioning through this lecture about the film of the gang of New York's and the novel of The Outsiders? Can someone name me one keyword? Understanding. And another one? There's the other one. There's the other keyword that I mentioned. Okay, acceptance. There you go. So, does anyone else have any question of what we review?